Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the latest dev feedback that was posted 2 days ago on the official COD Discord. Haven't had a chance to read this one yet, and so I'm excited to see what they touch on. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us off. Thanks. Okay, here we go. Gotta reposition so you guys have a little bit better of an angle. Number one, last of permits in the Alliance store. But here's the sad part. About 20 people can't afford to buy permits and are going to be stuck on a dead server. And the worst part, they don't deserve that. Their only mistake was putting their trust on the wrong people. Allow players to somehow migrate with lower rates if they have to. Okay, answer. Thank you for your feedback and suggestions. Many players are concerned about migration-related issues, and we will be making improvements. Okay, interesting. Wow. We plan to moderately. Oh, bejesus. Okay, I mean, hold on now. Don't get me too excited. We plan to moderately increase the number of free migration permits, and for players on dead servers or those who need to migrate but are limited by the number of migration permits, we're actively working on a new plan to better support them. Hallelujah. I mean, okay, this actually seems like a W change, a W piece of feedback. This has been one of, obviously, a very touchy subject for players just in Kingdom Builders in general, but obviously much in COD, where you run into these situations where your kingdom is either just dying, it's hemorrhaging, it's losing players, you're having decent to heavy player drop off, and you're probably a D-seeded kingdom, probably something around there, right? Maybe if it could go lower, maybe E, right? Depending on how low active the kingdom is. And or you get situations where you migrate somewhere and it just doesn't end up being what was either promised to you or how they made it seem. Or you know what? You played there for a season and you just figured, all right, this just isn't the place for me. It's nice to at least see that they're looking to adjust and or improve some of the free. And I'm not saying it needs to be anything drastic, right? Even if they did something where like you could get 2 migration permits, like just double it. So you could get 2 a week, right? Now, they say moderately. Maybe that means double. Maybe it means 3. To me, I don't think that would be the worst thing. We've even talked about this before, where what if people were excommunicated, right, through the discharge feature? So like if a player is kicked off the kingdom, and I've proposed this idea of putting them on this kind of banned kingdom or like kicked kingdom, like this, they're basically, it sends them to their own kingdom, but all of the players on that kingdom are all players that were kicked out of their kingdom or they were discharged. And then they would get like they'd be able to get 2 permits a week, and then they would get a discount on purchasing, like a 10 or 20% discount on purchasing permits, something to that effect, right? Great idea in order to be able to utilize, that was interesting, to be able to utilize something like that. But do I like this change, and do I like the response from the dev team? Absolutely. We'll have to see what that looks like numbers wise, of course. But I think that this is a good step in the right direction when it comes to migration. Again, we're probably never going to get back to what it was with the 5K gems being able to be used. I'm sure some people would enjoy going back to that, but you know, we're neither here nor there. Okay, infantry merit acquisition. The merit infantry legions are getting or even worse than before. Infantry to get higher merits. How can we make the infantry earn more merit without increasing the unit's damage or tanking? It's simple. Simply taking damage and reducing it gives merit. Thank you for your feedback and suggestions. We will optimize the mechanism for merit acquisition, and after the adjustment, infantry will earn more merit. Okay, so, okay, this seems nice. Now, keep in mind, I don't know what the average numbers are. That would actually be interesting to hear from some people and maybe get some reports on if people are doing just like standard testing. So if it's just like vanilla 300K or whatever max, if it's 300K or so for max troop counts, and then any other kind of things that they can have consistently with. So you're kind of doing a more one-to-one test, and then you see what those numbers look like for each troop type, right? Just to kind of get a gauge. That would be nice to see as a baseline. It would almost be nice if they provided that and said, well, hey, here's what the average merit number gains are like per battle or something to that effect, right? If there's a way to generate that, because then you actually have something that you can say, okay, well, yeah, clearly infantry is not getting as many merits. And obviously for those people out there fighting, right? So I imagine this is still a thing. And if people are coming out and saying that infantry is not getting as many merits as some of the others, if not all the others, then okay. No problem with that. I'm just saying I'd like to see some due diligence there. A co-R5 role. Improve quality of life for leadership by adding a co-R5 role. The co-R5 role will enable the leadership to have more flexibility and more options to run the kingdom operations. Okay. Thank you for your suggestion. We are currently developing optimization features aimed at reducing the management workload for R5 going forward. R5 will be able to customize and assign permissions to members at different levels. Ooh! Oh my gosh, just tickle my belly button. It's an innie, not an outie. And I'm excited for this. You guys know me, man. Anytime I get just good sifting whiffs of management QOLs for quality of life improvements, I am a fan of. To be honest, this should have been a thing from the beginning. So I very much support, and I love the direction. And we talked about this before in one of the previous, I believe, patch notes, or maybe it was an update video, where they addressed a little bit more specifically the importance of management roles within the game and how they really want to keep optimizing and keep looking at ways that they can improve this for basically their frontline managers, which is an R5 and R4, right? Like I talk about this often where we say at an R5 and R4, you're kind of like an extension of the game company, right? Of the development team in a sense, right? Because you have first outreach to the player base. If you think about it, almost the majority of players that play these games are in an alliance. And so I think of a leader like I would think of a store manager, right, of a major company that has a bunch of locations all over the world. And then I think of R4s like department leads, right? And so being able to improve options utilization tools for these individuals should be at the top of the list at all times. So I am a fan of this. I love that they're going to do something like this because now, instead of you maybe needing a co-R5 role, maybe they're saying that they'll allow for you to customize officer permissions. So that way up to everyone as an officer could maybe be a co-R5, right? Depending on what they allow. But I'm a fan of this. I think this is a great change. Obviously, they didn't say when these are coming, but it's still nice to know. Quests in Alliance mobilization. I suggest to change the current format and make it so all kind of quests are available and personal, so each player can complete his 10 quests in its most efficient way, and officers won't stress refreshing quests anymore. Let people choose their mission directly. In Alliance mobilization, it's very tiring to wait for this mission. Would also solve the problem on the workload for R4s to refresh them constantly. Thank you for your feedback and suggestions. We understand that the current quest settings have caused inconvenience for many players, and we sincerely apologize. We are considering making adjustments to quest refresh mechanics, helping reduce the burden on players. Okay, they didn't go into detail, but I imagine either they'll do something that the players can enact on themselves, or maybe less that the officers will have to do, right, for something like this. But nice to see it being addressed and them saying that they are looking to make an improvement here. Again, this is, I think, just another good quality of life potential change that they could make. Okay. Linares, we're almost done now. I think we got 3 more. Linares rework. By now, you developers should know that all cavalry players sync their march speeds at the same speed, if not a few percentage differences. Linares march speed buff at 20 to 40%, while camouflage completely ruins everyone's setup. You either choose to be faster at a battle or be too slow trying to get out of battle. Many longtime cavalry players have said this passive march speed buff is the reason they're not going to spend money to get this new artifact. Okay, thank you. We are working on optimization features for march speed, including automatic positioning of melee and range units, as well as synchronized move speed. More details will be shared in the future. Now, I understand what they're saying. They're basically saying, if you got your Rohirrim cavalry and you're out there on the field and you got the main squad that is moving in this direction, but then you got one person who's like moving a little bit faster than them, you would rather have everyone moving in unison, right? I understand that. Because if someone's moving a little bit too fast, I mean, yeah, sure, you can adjust, but it's a lot more micro that you have to do compared to if you just have flat percentage speeds applied across policies, the heroes, any other areas that you can include a buff in. It makes it easier because then everyone's at the same speed, right? So you don't have to worry about, okay, well, I have to slow down a little bit now, or I'm only going to go up to a certain point and then I'll go faster. Or if I'm slower, then the group has to wait for you to catch up. So maybe you can't engage. That can mess up your timings too as well on when, like, maybe there's a moment where you want to go, but you got 10 or 20 people that are a little bit slower than you that you have to wait to catch up. And maybe it doesn't make sense to go and attack at that moment because they're not already in a part of the main group because they're behind, because they have a little bit of a percentage, a smaller percentage for march speed rather than having the same march speed across the board. And it makes sense. I actually think this is a good response. Hopefully we'll see something like that applied. Switch between alliance. Problem. Many will fight through multiple alliance shells, switching between them regularly. The switching is a pain and time consuming, which can lead to unnecessary friendly fire. Solution. Add a feature allowing us to favorite 2 to 3 alliances to remain at the top of the alliance search feature, making move between shells smoother and quicker. I mean, the other way to do it is just, I mean, leaving the shell open and not on invite only would be one way to do it, so people can just auto join. Or maybe you just allow for players to whitelist, right? Or maybe you have, like, maybe you do a warband, but then you have settings in your warband that's like a whitelist, and so you can just add players to it, and then they can go back and forth between. Just something that I think makes it a little bit easier in that regard. The other option is, if we look at it from another angle, make it so that way one shell can build more territory. This way, you don't necessarily need to use empty shells to move between, right? And I get it, there's other reasons for it. But if you made your main shell just able to either build more territory, maybe rework some of the scaling for flag costs and resource costs, you could maybe tackle it on the other angle as well. But let's see. We are considering implementing related features to make it more convenient for players. Okay, all right. Last one. Alliance Resource Center removal after losing territory. Make it that once you lose territory, the Alliance Resource Center is automatically also removed once it is off territory due to flag or territory loss. This removes the possibility of alliances just dropping an Alliance RSS Center in key points in a choke and can stay relaxed as enemy can advance due to it being and staying there for 3 days. I am actually all for this. I think this is actually a really good suggestion. We are considering implementing related features to improve the player's battle experience. Some issues will be addressed in detail in the next developer Q&A. Okay, nice. I get this. If your territory's been removed and you've dropped an RSS pit there and that territory is now gone, the RSS pit should be gone. I'm okay with that. Like, I think logically, if you are if you understand that you can't drop an RSS pit off territory, and it has to be on territory, from my understanding, and if not, I'm sure someone will correct me. So I'm leaving that one open-ended. Then I could understand that same logic being applied. However, if I'm just speaking generally to the fact of how many RSS pits I see being used at choke points, I can understand why someone would suggest something like this. So I would actually be all for it. That's it for what we got. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 dev feedbacks here for March and April, right? And then it looks like the next one we're going to get is going to be a dev Q&A. I'd love to know what you guys think. I actually think for the most part, this is a pretty big W dev feedback for March and April. Like, they really hit on some good stuff, picked out some good questions, and gave some good answers for updates and improvements we're going to be seeing going forward. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. That is it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.